So how do you make money from being on podcasts? Let's break it down and give you 5 different ways that you can make money by being on podcast. Number 1, you're sharing somebody else's audience, right? Well, first of all, I'm Melanie Johnson. I'm the co-owner of Elite Online Publishing, where we make authors #1 bestsellers and help them write, market their book. But let's dive into podcast. Why do you want to be guest on a podcast? So let me show you 5 ways that you can make money. Number 1 is you're hijacking somebody else's audience. Suddenly you're like expanding your audience to whoever is listening and seeing their podcast. And if you're a niche person, right? Like we're publishers, we've gone on other people who are focused on publishing books and people who are wanting to learn how to write a book. We have gone on their podcast, so then they're our ideal audience. So like you're struggling to get more leads into your business, boom, all of a sudden you're a guest on someone's podcast and your audience now explodes and expands. So another key tip that we use, especially this really only works if you're an author, but you could use maybe another product or service or PDF or something to do this. Make sure you give something away when you're on a podcast. So I give one of our books away. I have a QR code that they can go in and a link that they can go in and get one of our books for free. But to get the book for free, we want them to opt in, we're wanting them to put their name, email address, and phone number in there to get our book for free. So number 1, that tells me they're interested in what I have to say. They're interested in becoming an author. Usually I give them our strategic writing system book. So then I'll sign them up for our newsletter and let them know that you're going to be signed up for our newsletter once you get opted into this. So if you don't have a book, I understand, but maybe you could give a checklist or you can give something else away. But by having a book, one of the key secrets is you will get booked on more podcasts because they'll see you as an author. When I used to own TV stations, when we wanted experts on the news, we would always pick an author versus someone who wasn't an author to be on the news as an expert. And if you pay attention to news today at all, not many of us are on mainstream media, but a lot of times when they're having experts come on, you'll notice they'll say, this is an author, this is the best-selling author. So it gives you that extra edge to be able to have that. So that's the second way that you can make money. The other way is to make sure you follow up with them. So once you have them opted in, don't just have it go nowhere. I mentioned having them on your newsletter list, but you should do like a 3 to 5 email follow-up drip campaign once they've gone into your system. So you say, hey, thanks for getting our book. We appreciate you. Here are some tips on how to use it. And then send them at least 2 more emails after that, seeing if they have any questions or you can help them with anything. And always give them more value, right? It's about them at that point. It's not about you. So just seeing if you can give them more information, more content that'll be helpful along their journey. Because obviously, like for us, a strategic writing system, we know they want to write a book and we're on podcasts where they're writing. Sometimes even when we go on business podcasts, a lot of business people also want to write a book. So think about that. Then the next way that you can help to make money and use it to your advantage is, right, to make other clips from it. So take your podcast, usually a podcaster will give you the full video that you can use. Put it into something like Opus AI and it'll generate all these clips for you. You don't have to lift a finger. It generates the clips for you. It generates the subtitles, all of that, and then put that on your social media. So now from one podcast that you've been on, you can create probably 20 pieces of video from that content. Then the other thing, we'll call this as number 4 maybe, you can also create content by creating blog posts from it, articles from it, and articles help get you seen on social media and with SEO. You can put the articles on LinkedIn, you can turn it into a newsletter, and then you can also take quotes from it and publish those quotes from the interview as well, which also makes you sound as an expert. Then what you're doing is you're tagging that podcast, so you're also getting into their audience. So it's not just the podcast they're seeing anymore. They're going to be tagged if they're interested in that podcast. They're also going to see it on the article that you're posting, because you'll put backlinks to it on the blog post, and maybe even the quotes. You'll mention that this came from that podcast. So those are some of the ways that you can make money when you're on a podcast interview. We've made over $100,000 just from one podcast interview. We were on a niche podcast, and we get authors come from that podcast all the time on a regular basis. So it was well worth the time. Think about how much time you spend for a podcast interview. You don't have to do much prep, right? Because they're going to ask you the questions about you and your business and your expertise. You know that like the back of your hand, right? So you just want to make sure that you give value, that you give something away, and your time is maybe, say, an hour for the whole thing that you're going to be on that podcast. So yeah, you got to say, what is the value of your time? But then what else can you spend your time that you're going to reach that many people and create that much content, plus get credibility? When someone invites you to be on their podcast, that says to me that they thought you were credible enough and worthy enough and a big enough expert and knowledgeable enough to have them as a guest on their podcast. We're picky. We don't just have anybody on our podcast, right? We get pitched all the time of, hey, we'd like this. We have different sources that we get things from that, hey, we'd like you to be on our podcast. And we're like, maybe, no. And we check out their social media. We check out if they're an author or not. So we have different criteria. What we offer now for our authors is they come in and we have an automated podcast pitching service for them, which makes it so much easier. So there's 4 million podcasts out there. So you know there's podcasts in your niche that are out there, and more podcasts are being created all the time. When we first started, nobody knew what a podcast was 10 years ago. So what we do is we reach out to those podcasts. We search over the 4.5 million podcasts that are out there. What is your target niche? Where do you want to go? Do you want to be worldwide pitching, or do you want to be just in the United States and Canada? And then we craft these emails that are strategic to get you booked on podcast. And we go back and forth with the author to see what is the right messaging. And then we start sending these messages out to all the different podcasts. Gosh, we send 20 to 25 emails a day to different podcasts to get you booked. And then if they don't open the email, we reply to them 2 more times to get them to respond to us. And then once they respond, then you're going to see if you're a fit for them. If they have something on the calendar for you, they'll either say, hey, book right here on our calendar, or they may say, fill out a form. I get that all the time. We want more information on you. Send us your bio and your picture, and then we'll decide. So it could be that they do. And then sometimes they're booked, like we're booked 6 months out right now for our podcast. So they may say, we're not taking any new people right now, but stay in touch with us because we're going to be booking 6 months. In another 3 months, we'll open up booking again. So then you just stay in contact with them. Gosh, and we're seeing results of 4 to 10 podcast bookings a month. Plus our open rate on these emails is 80%. I don't know about you, but our regular email feed, we only get 18 to 30%. So 80% is really cool. And then usually the response rate is around 20% is what you're getting. If you're looking for different options on to get on podcasts versus what I used to do was go to LinkedIn and look for people with podcasts and say, hey, can I be on your podcast, or I'll offer you a podcast swap? And most of you don't have a podcast already. So I think it's a much more efficient way, and it's a much more cost-effective way. We have a holiday special right now for just $1,000 a month that gets you booked on podcast every single month. If you're looking to do that, you can reach out to us. But there are a variety of different things. But the most important thing is take action. Get on those podcasts. If you already have a book, it's a great way to promote yourself. Not just the book, but the business that you're in as well. Because you don't get to just talk about the book. You talk about usually your background and what you do and what makes you special, and a little bit about your business. And again, make sure you give away something free in that interview. So if you're looking to get on podcasts, make sure you reach out to us. We can tell you what we offer and our option for our automated podcast outreach. And of course, if you're writing a book or want to write a book, we help you with all of that. We make our authors international #1 bestsellers. We pride ourselves on submitting our books for awards so you can become an award-winning author. And every part of the author journey that you're on, we help you with. So whether it's writing, publishing, marketing your book, we're right there for you to help you along every step of the journey. I'm Melanie Johnson, Elite Online Publishing. Reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We'll see you soon.